spent years wearing my busyness as a badge of honor. And I didn't realize it at the time, but for so many years I had believed the lie that because I was so busy, that must mean that I was important, that I was valuable. And if I'm really honest, I was very uncomfortable with myself when I wasn't crazy busy. Because in the still quiet moments deep down, I questioned my significance. It was also in those moments that I felt the heaviness of the disappointment over the way that life had turned out. And I felt despair over how to truly feel happy and peaceful inside. I would do anything to avoid feeling that way. And so it worked for me to cover myself up in all the responsibilities and all the obligations, the duties, the expectations, working as hard as I could to force a change in my circumstances and therefore feel some relief from what haunted me deep inside. I continued that way of existing until several years ago when I began experiencing some scary health problems that forced me to slow down and face reality. And it was during that time that I realized just how hard and how furiously I had been running from what I felt most vulnerable to. It was a dark and a scary time for me, but I sought help from my own coach and my own therapist, and I made the decision to do the inner work that was necessary to break free from my addiction to being crazy busy. And gratefully, with that breakthrough, now my life is slower, a lot less stressful, a lot less fearful, and much more peaceful and enjoyable and fulfilling. I now relish in the downtime. I enjoy margin, and I experience the enjoyment of more and more freedom every single day. And as a result of my own experience, I now love helping other men and women get the breakthrough from their own bondage that keeps them from existing, or keeps them existing in that struggle and that striving and that surviving that I felt for so long. And what I see is one of the most common and pervasive bondages that all of us face is the addiction of crazy busy. It's rampant, and sadly, our society glorifies it. And in one of my favorite books, Daring Greatly, by Brene Brown, Brene writes about numbing behaviors that we use as armor to protect us against feeling vulnerable. And though we think of alcohol and drugs as the numbing agents, she explains, one of the most universal numbing strategies is what she calls crazy busy. And I often say, she often says that when they start having 12-step meetings for the busyaholics, they'll need to rent out football stadiums. It's such an epidemic. Because you see, we're a culture of people who've bought into the idea that if we stay busy enough, the truth of our lives won't catch up with us. And as a society, we shame and condemn people who are addicted to drugs and alcohol and other things, sex, gambling even. But we normalize and we even glorify the addiction of crazy busy. But being addicted to crazy busy is doing nothing for us. And for us to continue in that way is stealing more life from us every day. And because, like my own experience, the wake of destruction of the crazy busy is so great in our relationships, in our lives, in our health, in our finances. And frequently and unfortunately, what's left in the emptiness and the silence of that are things that we don't want to see. Things like disconnected, unfulfilling, loveless marriages. Things like guilt-ridden hearts over missing out on our child's sweetest moments due to the demands of our careers and our businesses. Or maybe it's our deeply rooted fear of being ordinary and not enough just for who we are. Or our feelings of inadequacy as parents because our child is struggling. Or loneliness, the deep loneliness that we feel inside because we haven't known how to cultivate meaningful, satisfying relationships. Or maybe it's our disappointment over our life not looking at all like we thought it would, like our picture, and regret and self-blame that feels overwhelming. You may relate to some or all of these, or your pain may be quite different than this. But either way, we don't have to keep tolerating this way of existing. And there is a cure for the addiction of crazy busy. We must decide first, though, that we're tired of running from and hiding from our pain. We must commit to acknowledging, connecting with, and caring for our heart. Because our hearts are the center of our being. So our connection to our own heart enables us to connect to and intimately experience the heart of God. And it's God who grounds us in his love and his security, and who reminds us of our significance in him. And connection with him answers our value question once and for all. And it fills our void with his completely satisfying and peaceful presence. Then our hearts can be transformed and our lives are restored to fullness as a result. So stop right now and ask yourself, am I caught up in the addiction of crazy busy? Am I wearing my busyness as a badge of honor? If so, what uncomfortable feeling am I trying to avoid? What wake of destruction is it causing in my life to continue in this way of living? If you recognize this is your reality and you're ready for freedom from the addiction of crazy busy, then you've got to find a way to silence the noise so that you can begin to hear what your heart desperately wants you to know, and then stop feeding it the counterfeit. The stress, the chaos, that whirlwind will settle down when you stop needing it so much. And when you're no longer willing to participate in its manipulation and deception, it will calm. Today, I hope the light of truth shines on your path to freedom as you reclaim your life from the addiction of crazy busy and return to living fully alive as you were intended to. And if you desperately want breakthrough freedom and you're tired of the stress and the struggle and the striving and the surviving, and you know you need help in getting it, it is okay. And you know what? I'd love to help you make that your reality. You can email me at ConnieJ@arisecounselingandcoaching.com, and I'd love to coach you to soar in a life that you love.